bittersweet memories, happiness, sorrow, regret, and finally the ability to let go of what others had done to him.
The sound of flashing
Oh, I will.
youthful shouts drew their attention. A group of genin were engaged in sparring matches under the watchful eye of their Jonin instructor, Akemi paused, observing the young
You can do that.
They're so open, she remarked. Their movements, their emotions, their chakra, all on display. Naruto understood what she meant. The children fought with the unrestrained enthusiasm of youth, their techniques skillful but lacking the economy and precision that came with more advanced training. Their chakra signatures flared brightly with each exertion, undisciplined and unmasked. Most haven't learned to conceal their chakra yet, he explained. That comes later in their training. You taught me to mask my chakra when I was 6, Akemi noted. We live differently, Naruto reminded her. Concealment was necessary for safety. As they watched, one young genin, a boy of perhaps 12 with dark hair pulled into a high ponytail, executed a particularly impressive fire technique, sending a controlled burst of flame toward his opponent, who countered with a water shield. Nara and Sarutobi, Naruto murmured, recognizing the distinctive techniques of those clans. Some things don't change. The Jonin instructor had noticed their presence and was regarding them with barely concealed curiosity. After giving her students further instruction, she approached them, her posture alert but not hostile.
You might want to be careful.
She greeted Naruto.
I'm actually gonna set the word spawn point for this real quick.
It's an honor to meet you. Naruto studied the young woman before him, noting features that reminded him of both Asuma and Kurina. Mirai.
So that way, when anyone spawns, they immediately just
She nodded.
spawn here.
Serious expression. Yes. I was very young when you left the village, but I've heard stories about you my whole life. There was something both gratifying and unsettling about the idea of being a story to a generation that had grown up in his absence. What tales have they been told? The heroic version of his achievements during the war? Or the more complex truth of his banishment?
It's
This
not
is my
done.
daughter, Akemi, he said, deflecting attention from himself. Mirai turned to Akemi with genuine interest. Hello, Akemi-san. Are you a shinobi as well? Akemi hesitated, seemingly unsure.
Because what I have for the house design is that it's supposed to look like it's roughly made,
But I've never served a village.
but also
My
still
father had
structurally so.
demonstration, she added after a moment, a hint of pride slipping into her typically reserved tone. Mirai nodded, understanding. Well, if you'd ever like to join us for a training session, you'd be welcome. It can be helpful to practice with peers. They often have approaches we wouldn't think of ourselves. The offer was made with sincerity, and Naruto appreciated the young Jonin's thoughtfulness. Before Akemi could respond, however, a commotion from the training ground drew their attention. One of the genin, a girl with short, spiky brown hair and distinctive facial markings that identified her as an Inuzuka, had collapsed to her knees. Her hands were pressed to her temples, and a strange, pulsing aura of chakra was visible around her, fluctuating between purple and blue. Hana! Mirai exclaimed, immediately rushing to her student's side. Naruto blinked instinctively as well, years of responding
And
overriding his status as a visitor. Akemi followed close behind, her face tense with concern. When they reached the fallen genin, Mirai was already...
No, we haven't done the attic yet. That's the final one.
Chakra with a calming technique.
So that's why there's
Expressions ranging from fear to confusion. It's happening again. One boy whispered, loud enough for Naruto to hear.
Let's see, what should I do for the roof? Ooh, deep slitting.
Has she experienced this before? He asked Mirai.
Oh yeah, by the way, don't feel free to make yourself some armor. I have some iron in one of the chests. I gotta reorganize.
Naruto studied the fluctuating chakra around the girl. It was behaving almost like a separate entity from her own natural energy, pulsing, contracting, then flaring outward again in a rhythm that seemed oddly familiar. Without thinking, he reached toward the visible aura. Mirai made a sound of warning, but before she could stop him, Naruto had placed his hand directly into the fluctuating energy. Immediately, he felt it, a resonance with the dormant Nine-Tails chakra within him. Not a direct connection, but a kind of harmonic response. as if the girl's
Ow!
chakra was vibrating at a frequency that Kurama's energy recognized. Akemi, he said quietly, what do you sense? His daughter had moved to stand at the girl's feet, her eyes half closed in concentration as she extended her sensory abilities. It's like what I've been feeling since we arrived, she said after a moment, but concentrated, intensified, like an echo bouncing back and forth, growing louder with each repetition. The young Inuzuka girl was whimpering now, clearly in pain. Naruto made a decision. I'm going to try something, he told Mirai. If it works, it should calm her chakra temporarily. Mirai hesitated, torn between concern for her student and uncertainty about Naruto's intervention. What are you going to do? A modification of a sealing technique, Naruto explained. Not permanent, just a stabilizing
It's not
after
done.
a brief internal struggle. Mirai nodded her consent, though she remained tense, ready to intervene if necessary. Naruto closed his eyes, reaching deep within himself to where Kurama's chakra lay dormant.
Well, go make something.
He called silently. I need a small portion of
You
your
can
chakra.
you can go get some resources and make something.
For a moment, he thought the Nine Tails would remain unresponsive,
Yeah.
as had become increasingly common in recent years. Then he felt it, a stirring in the depths of his consciousness, a reluctant acknowledgement. What are you doing, kid? The familiar voice resonated within him, gruff but not hostile. Trying to help a child, Naruto replied. Her chakra is destabilized. It's resonating with yours somehow. A pause, then fine. But be careful. Things are not as they seem here. Before Naruto could ask what Kurama meant by this cryptic warning, he felt the familiar warmth of the Nine Tails chakra flowing through his system. He carefully channeled a
Yeah.
portion of it into his palm, which began to glow with golden light. With practiced precision, he directed the
Yeah.
energy into a simple pattern, a temporary stabilizing seal that would harmonize with the
This is where the fucking Doko comes back into play.
natural energy flow. As his glowing hand made contact with the girl's forehead, the effect was immediate. The pulsing aura around her began to smooth out, the erratic fluctuations gradually settling into a more regular rhythm before fading entirely. The pain in her expression.
So you know what I'm doing, Josh?
Her rigid posture relaxed. Better? Naruto asked her gently. The young Inuzuka
Yeah, but you know what I'm doing with it.
as she stared at him. It doesn't hurt anymore, she whispered. How did you? Just a temporary fix. Naruto told her, rising to his feet. You should still see the medical corps for a full examination. Mirai was looking at him with newfound respect and no small amount of curiosity. Thank you, Uzumaki-san. I would have had to call for a medical team if you hadn't intervened. Naruto shrugged, uncomfortable with gratitude for what had been a simple act of compassion. It's not a permanent solution, he warned. Just a stabilization technique. The underlying issue remains. Still, you helped my student when she was suffering, Mirai insisted. That means something. As they prepared to leave the training ground, Naruto noticed Akemi standing slightly apart, her expression troubled. When they had walked some distance from the Genin team, she spoke in a low voice. What I sense from that girl, it's all over the village, Papa. Fainter in most places, stronger in others. Like ripples in a pond, spreading outward from several sources. Naruto frowned, troubled by this confirmation of Irika's warning. And it all feels connected to the Nine Tails chakra somehow? Yes, she confirmed. But also different. Changed. As if something has altered it. The implications were disturbing. If the Nine Tails chakra had somehow been affected by his absence from Konoha, if it had spread or transformed in ways no one had anticipated, we need to know more,
By the way,
he
dude,
said decisively. Tomorrow's council meeting just became even more important. As
you
they
can help
continued
me
to
with
walk
this,
to
by the way.
village, Naruto felt a growing certainty
It would
that
speed up the
different
process
pieces
of, like,
not
what I'm
merely
building
about
here.
reconciliation or making peace with the past.
You wanna know
Something
why?
is at work here. Something that
You see what I'm doing?
is the village's stability, but perhaps
I'm building
something
a
essential
attic
as
so
well.
where we
The
can
whispers
store
and
stuff.
echoes of the past were converging with the present in ways he had never
You noticed?
anticipated. And somewhere beneath it all, Kurama's warning resonated.
Let's see, I'm gonna-
Things are not as they seem here. What exactly had happened in the 15 years of his absence? And what would it mean for the daughter he had sworn to protect at all costs? The answers, he suspected, would be both illuminating and dangerous. Much like
Now
the
you see
village
what I'm
was
actually
small,
doing.
the apartment provided for the
It is a
residents
mansion.
and all of
You're
the
not wrong
was
about that.
situated in a quiet corner of the village where the morning sun filtered through abundant trees. Naruto
But
recognized
I'm putting the treasure room upstairs. See how that's smart? That actually is a smart idea. To have glass right there.
In emergencies, yet removed from the bustle of the commercial districts. As Akemi explored their new living space, examining
But
each
also
room,
it's to keep people away from like the danger zone.
looking out at a village he barely recognized.
Mm,
New buildings had risen where familiar ones once stood. The pattern of streets had subtly altered. Even the quality of morning light seemed
you're moving your bed
as if Konoha itself had
upstairs.
shifted during his absence, realigning itself to accommodate the changes 15 years had wrought. Papa, Akemi called from what would be her bedroom. Come see this. He found her standing before a bookshelf that had been stocked with scrolls and texts. Her fingers traced the spine of a particularly worn volume. These are academy textbooks, she said, a note of wonder in her voice. And training scrolls for basic jutsu. Naruto examined the collection. Someone had thoughtfully assembled materials that would help Akemi bridge the gap between her unconventional upbringing and the formal education Konoha shinobi received. Shikamaru is thorough, he observed. Do you think they expect me to become a Konoha ninja? Akemi asked, pulling out a scroll on chakra control exercises. Naruto considered the question carefully. I think they're giving you options. A soft knock at their door interrupted further discussion. Naruto tensed instinctively. Years of vigilance didn't fade overnight, but extended his senses and recognized a familiar chakra signature. He opened the door to find Sakura Uchiha standing there, a basket in her hands and an uncertain expression on her face. I thought you might need some supplies, she said, lifting the basket slightly. Food, toiletries, some basic medical items. Naruto stepped back, allowing her to enter. Thank you. Sakura's eyes immediately found Akemi, who had emerged from her room at the sound of voices. Hello again, Akemi, she said warmly. I hope you're settling in all right? It's very different from what I'm used to. Akemi replied diplomatically. Sakura smiled, placing the basket on the kitchen counter. I can imagine. I brought some breakfast items, and there's a list of local shops and their locations. The village layout has changed quite a bit since your father was last here. The careful normality of the conversation felt surreal to Naruto. Here was Sakura, whom he had last seen tearfully protesting his banishment, now standing in his kitchen making small talk as if they were merely old friends catching up after a long separation. How have you been, Sakura? He asked, the question encompassing far more than its simple wording suggested. Something flickered in her green eyes, acknowledgement of all that remained unspoken between them. I've been well, she said. I'm the head of the hospital now, and I oversee the medical training program. And Sasuke? The name fell from his lips before he could consider the wisdom of asking. Sakura's expression softened. He's currently away on a long-term reconnaissance mission. He's been searching for answers about some disturbing chakra disturbances beyond our borders. We think they might be connected to the barrier weakening here in Konoha, so Sasuke was alive, still serving the village in his own way. The knowledge brought a complex mixture of relief and renewed pain. Once, he and Sasuke had been brothers in all but blood. Now they were strangers separated by years and circumstances. You have children? He nodded toward the wedding band on her finger. A son and a daughter. Sakura confirmed, and genuine joy lit her features. Sarada is 13. She's showing real promise as a medical need. And Itachi is 10, named for his uncle, of course. He's more like his father. Quiet, intense. Naruto absorbed this information, trying to imagine Sasuke as a father. The concept seemed almost as foreign as his own transition to parenthood must appear to Sakura. Your daughter is beautiful, Naruto, Sakura said, glancing at Akemi, who had politely retreated to give them some privacy but remained within earshot. She has your determination in her eyes. And her hair. She hesitated. Her mother, Naruto supplied quietly. Sakura nodded, not pressing for details Naruto wasn't yet ready to provide. Instead, she reached into the basket and pulled out a small package. This is from Hinata, she explained, handing it to him. Special medicinal cream her family makes. She thought it might be useful after your journey. Naruto accepted the package, remembering how Hinata had always cared for others in quiet, thoughtful ways. Some things hadn't changed, it seemed. There will be a council meeting tomorrow, Sakura continued, her tone shifting to something more formal. Shikamaru would like you to attend, to discuss the chakra situation in more detail. There are some complications he didn't fully explain yesterday. What kind of complications? Naruto asked, instantly alert. Sakura shook her head. It's not my place to today.
Your head is huge.
We're gonna see how long it takes us to get all
By the way, dude, I'm about to finish the fucking roof of our base. Yeah, it's an attic. You didn't think I was gonna not make an attic? Yes. So that way we have better lighting. Yep.
Starting a business is overwhelming, and there's so many different tasks that we have to take on, one of them being designing a logo. So that's why I'm really excited about this new technology. It's called Design.com, and basically
You realize the roof is actually not even done, right?
thousands of look ideas in literally seconds. It's incredible. They're not
I just did it like this because, you know, it's easier. I did it like this because it's easier, and also it saves a lot of time with, you know, how the roof is built.
Pretty much any sort of branding tool you can think of, so this makes starting a business and getting it branded properly easier than ever. So once again, that's design.com. Check it out. Highly recommend.
You see how it's like sort of like that?
It's important, Naruto. For the village, and possibly for you and Akemi as well. She glanced at the clock on the wall and
Oh yeah,
I have to get to the hospital.
because the top will be, you know, you see how I'm holding deep slate? The top will have deep slate.
We miss you, Naruto. All of us. Before he could respond, she had crossed the door. The meeting is at noon tomorrow. I'll come by in the morning to show you and Akemi around the village a bit, if you'd like. That would be nice. Akemi answered from across the room, a hint of eagerness in her voice that surprised Naruto.
You see how I'm building like
I'd to
this?
see more of Konoha. Sakura smiled at her.
It's just,
Then it settled. I'll see you both in
it's
the
just that way we have something to build on when we're finishing the roof, you know,
She feels guilty.
the final bits, which, you know,
They all do. Naruto sighed, moving to the kitchen to examine the contents of Sakura's basket. It's complicated, Akemi. You cared about her once. His daughter continued following him. I could see it in your face when you looked at her. Naruto paused in unpacking a container of fresh fruit. Sakura was very important to me. She was my teammate, my friend. At one point, I thought I was in love with her, but she chose Sasuke, Akemi said, the statement betraying how much Naruto had shared with her over the years. She did, he acknowledged. And that was the right choice for her. What Sakura and I had, it wasn't that kind of love, not really. I understood that eventually, and then you met my mother, Akemi said quietly. Naruto's expression softened at the mention of Karen. Yes. And then I met your mother, who saw me more clearly than anyone ever had. Akemi leaned against the counter, her sea-colored eyes, so like Karen's in shape, though different in hue, fixed on his face. Will you tell me more about her tonight? About how you met? It was a request she made periodically, wanting to know the woman who existed for her only in Naruto's stories and in the crimson color of her own hair. Naruto never refused her, understanding all too well what it meant to grow up without parents' memories to hold on to. Of course, he promised. But first, let's have some breakfast and explore a bit on our
whoa, 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 whoa.
I
What?
want to show you a few places before Sakura's tour tomorrow. An hour later, they were walking through the streets of Konoha. Naruto had chosen civilian clothes rather than shinobi attire, though the years of training were evident in his alert posture and measured movements. Akemi walked beside him, absorbing everything around them with keen interest. The village was busier now, shops open and streets filled with a mix of shinobi and civilians going about their daily business. People
You notice how I build like upwards instead of like.
others pretending not to notice while stealing glances. They know who you are, Akemi murmured. News travels fast in hidden villages, Naruto replied. By now, everyone knows the Jinchuriki has returned. They passed a group of academy students, easily identifiable by their training clothes and exuberant energy as they raced toward the school building. Akemi watched them with undisguised curiosity. Will I have to attend the academy? She asked. Naruto shook his head. Not unless you want to. You're already beyond academy level in most areas, thanks to our training. But there might be benefits to spending some time there, learning village protocols, meeting others your age. Akemi considered.
Dude, you see how Deep Slate looks cool?
Having grown up in isolation with only her father and occasional interactions with the inhabitants of remote villages. The concept of peers was both intriguing and somewhat intimidating. I'll think about it, she said finally. They continued walking, Naruto guiding them toward a familiar destination. When they rounded a corner and the Ichiraku ramen stand came into view, he felt an unexpected tightness in his chest. The small shop had been expanded somewhat, but the distinctive signage remained the same. This is it, isn't it? Akemi asked, recognizing the place from her father's stories. Where you used to eat all the time, Naruto nodded, slowing his pace as they approached. He had wondered if Tucci might have retired by now, or if the shop might have changed hands entirely. But as they drew closer, he saw a familiar figure behind the counter, older, grayer, but unmistakably the same man who had fed the village pariah when others had turned him away. That night, as promised, Naruto told Akemi more about her mother. They sat on the small balcony of their new apartment, the lights of Konoha spread out below them like earthbound stars, so different from the absolute darkness they were accustomed to in their remote cottage. Your mother was never what anyone expected, Naruto began, his voice softening with memory. She was fierce and brilliant and complicated. She had been used by...
I have an idea for the roof
valued for her
that I think you might like, Josh. This actually fits, so we should match it up. We should match up this side with that side. Don't you agree,
We were
dude?
both adrift when we found each other. Naruto continued. I had been banished from Konoha for less than a year. I was angry, lost, determined to survive but unsure of my purpose beyond mere existence. He gazed out at the village, the past
We
and
need
present
polished.
overlapping in his vision. I was traveling through a remote region in the land of rivers when I sensed a familiar chakra signature. Your mother had a very distinctive energy, something I had encountered during the war and again during some interactions with Sasuke. She knew Sasuke too? Akemi asked, though Naruto had mentioned this detail before. It was part of the ritual of these tellings. She would ask questions whose answers she already knew, needing to hear them again, to piece together the fragments of her mother's life into some kind of coherent whole. She was part of his team for a while, after he left Konoha, Naruto confirmed. She was devoted to him, or thought she was. Later, she told me she had confused gratitude with love. Sasuke had once saved her during the Chunin exams, and that moment had crystallized in her mind as something more significant than it really was. He smiled faintly. Your mother was very honest about her past misperceptions. It was one of the things I came to value most about her, her willingness to re-examine her own motivations, to acknowledge when she had been wrong. What was she doing in the land of rivers? Akemi prompted, following the familiar rhythm of the story. Hiding, Naruto replied. Like me. After the war, after Sasuke's return to Konoha, she had tried to build a new life for herself. But her past associations made her a target for those seeking information about Orochimaru's operations. She had been a trusted aide to him for years, had access to knowledge that many would kill to obtain. He sighed, remembering the state in which he had found Karen, exhausted, wounded, her formidable sensory abilities strained to their limits after months of constant vigilance. She didn't trust me at first, he continued. She had no reason to. But we were both Uzumaki, both outcasts, both hunted in our own ways. We formed an uneasy alliance initially, safety in numbers, sharing resources, watching each other's backs, and then you fell in love. Akemi said, her voice holding a hint of wistfulness. Naruto's expression softened. Not right away. It was gradual. We argued constantly at first. Your mother had strong opinions about everything, and she didn't hesitate to tell me when she thought I was being an idiot, which was often, according to her. He chuckled at the memory. But over time, something shifted. We began to see each other clearly, not as projections of our own needs or expectations, but as we truly were, flaws and strengths alike. She saw me at my worst, he admitted quietly. During those early years of exile, there were times when the bitterness threatened to consume me. Times when I considered actions that would have betrayed everything I had once stood for. Your mother called me back from those edges. Not with gentle platitudes, but with unflinching honesty. Akemi absorbed this, as she had many times before. And she loved you because you saw her too, she said.
Oh shit.
Just your useful abilities. Yes, Naruto agreed.
Carl never really thought much of his credit scores until he got Credit Karma and used his scores to score more. Life is less humble abode. Into my Credit Karma. Karma you can download.
Sorry, I'm zoning out really bad. And boom. Dude, look at the roof that I'm making for us. So if I line this up correctly.
And the rest is what? The pickles? Orange days. Orange days are here. Ashton's biggest sale of the year. Don't miss it.
Your journey won't be easy. Throughout these vast lands, you'll face thieves, beasts, and worse, all wanting your head. But you must go. Because
Oh shit, I almost fell.
he's coming.
Game of Thrones Kings Road. Pre-register now.
We recognized each other in ways no one else had. Both of us had been valued primarily for what we could provide others. Me as a Jinchuriki, her as a sensory ninja and healer. Both of us had been seeking connection our entire lives. He reached out, brushing a strand of crimson hair from Akemi's face. Hair so like her mother's that sometimes the sight of it caught him unawares, sending a shaft of grief through him even now, 14 years after Kieran's death. When we discovered she was pregnant with you, we were living in a small cave system in the mountains. He continued, moving the story forward to its most consequential chapter. We had planned to keep moving, to avoid staying in any one place too long. But Karen's pregnancy was difficult from the beginning. Akemi nodded, familiar with this part of the narrative, but needing to hear it nonetheless. Because of the Nine-Tails chakra, she said. We think so, Naruto confirmed. Kurama's energy had become thoroughly integrated with my own by then. When you were conceived, that combined chakra influenced your development. Your mother's body tried to adapt. Her Uzumaki vitality and her unique healing abilities worked overtime to protect both her and you. But it was a strain that grew with each passing month. His voice grew more subdued as he approached the most painful part of the story. We found a remote village with a skilled midwife, settled nearby, prepared as best we could. Your mother researched constantly, drawing on her extensive medical knowledge, trying to anticipate complications. He paused, the memory still painful even after all these years. She knew the risks, he said finally, better than I did. She made me promise two things, that I would not blame myself if something happened to her, and that I would raise you to know both freedom and family. The two things neither of us had fully experienced in our own childhoods. Akemi was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, as she sometimes did, do you think she would have liked me? The question always pierced Naruto's heart. Liked you? He echoed. Akemi, she
Dude.
would have adored you. She would have been
It's
so
done.
proud of the person
Holy
you are.
shit!
Your intelligence.
That only took one
Your
night.
strength of will. He squeezed her hand gently. She gave everything for you. Not out of obligation,
Ow.
but out of love so profound it transcended her own survival instinct. That's who your mother was, Someone whose capacity for love ran deeper than anyone I've ever known. Once
By the way,
she
I'm just adding this.
Thank you for telling me.
I'm just adding these char.
They sat
No.
in companionable silence, the weight of memory and absence hanging between them like an invisible thread connecting past to present. Naruto gazed out at the familiar skyline of Konoha.
Dude, if you wanted to add that,
Layers of time. How strange that the village looked both exactly as he remembered and
I know what it is. It's a
much
Leviathan's
like the
cross.
sensation of looking in a mirror after many years and seeing a face that is simultaneously one's own and a stranger's. What are you thinking about? Akemi asked, her voice gentle in the darkness. Naruto considered the question.
That needs to be
Complex tangle of
extended.
emotions that had
Wow,
been building
this.
since their arrival. I'm thinking about circles, he said finally. How life seems to move in them, bringing us back to places we thought we had left behind forever. Are you sorry we came? Her question held no judgment, only genuine curiosity. No, he said after a thoughtful pause. Not sorry, but unsettled. I spent so many years defining myself in opposition to this place, to what happened here. And now you have to redefine yourself in relation to it again. Akemi finished for him, displaying the penetrating insight that sometimes made Naruto forget she was only 14. Yes, he admitted. And I'm not sure who I am in this context anymore. The boy who dreamed of becoming Hokage is long gone. The angry young man who left in exile has faded too. The father who raised you in our quiet valley, he exists in a world apart from this one. Akemi considered this, her sea-colored eyes reflecting the distant lights of the village. Perhaps you don't need to be any of those people, she suggested. Perhaps you can just be who you are now, all of those experiences integrated into something new. Naruto smiled faintly at her wisdom. When did you become the teacher and I the student? I learned from the best, she replied with the ghost of a smile. Then, more seriously, Papa, tomorrow at the council meeting, what do you think they'll ask of you? The question cut to the heart of his unease. What would Konoha demand in exchange for their welcome? What price would he be asked to pay for reintegration? I don't know, he answered honestly. They need the Nine-Tails chakra stabilized within their borders. Beyond that, he shrugged, the gesture conveying his uncertainty. And what will you be willing to give them? Akemi pressed, always the pragmatist. Naruto turned to look at her fully, his expression softening. That depends entirely on what it costs you, he said. I meant what I said to Shikamaru. Your well-being comes first. Always, her brow furrowed slightly. But what if what they need, what the village needs, is something important? Something that could help others, like that girl today? The question revealed the heart beneath Akemi's reserved exterior. A compassion that reminded Naruto powerfully of his younger self, before disillusionment had tempered his instinctive desire to help everyone who crossed his path. Then we'll find a way.
I'm getting rid of
that
this.
doesn't put you at risk, he said. There's always a third path, Akemi. I learned that long ago. When people tell you there are only two choices.
So that way, it's just easier.
They're usually not looking hard enough for alternatives. She nodded, absorbing this philosophy as she had absorbed so many of his hard-won lessons over the years.
I'm adding
After a moment,
like
she
soul
asked,
lanterns
"Will
into
you tell me
this.
about them? The people who are important to you here? You've told me stories before, but now that I've met some of them, Naruto understood her curiosity. The figures from his stories had suddenly become real people with lined faces and gray-streaked hair, with children of their own and responsibilities that had shaped them in ways his narratives couldn't have captured. Sakura was the heart of Team 7, he began, allowing himself to sink into memories he had kept carefully partitioned for years. Fierce, brilliant, determined to prove herself. She had the best chakra control I've ever seen, perfect precision from the very beginning. When Sasuke and I were still flailing around with excess energy, the ghost of a smile touched his lips. She had a temper like a summer storm, quick to form, powerful while it lasted, gone just as suddenly. She hit me more times than I can count, usually when I deserved it. You cared for her. Akemi observed, not a question, but a gentle acknowledgement. I did, Naruto confirmed. As a friend, as a teammate, as someone I admired. I thought I was in love with her when we were young, But it was more that she represented everything I wanted. Acknowledgement, connection, belonging. By the time
By the way,
I
dude.
understood the difference, she and Sasuke had already formed a bond that went beyond anything I could fully comprehend. He paused, memories washing over him in waves. Sasuke. Sasuke was complicated. My best friend, my rival, my brother in every way that mattered. We understood each other at a level that transcended words. Even when we were trying to kill each other. You fought each other? Akemi asked, her eyes widening slightly. This was a detail he had glossed over in his previous tellings. Several times, Naruto acknowledged. Each time believing it was necessary, each time underestimating the cost. Sasuke walked a darker path than I did for many years. He carried wounds that festered rather than healed, turning his pain outward as rage rather than inward as my pain often did. But beneath it all was the same loneliness, the same desperate need to mentor. He gazed up at the stars, so much dimmer here than in the mountains where they had lived. In the end, we saved each other.
Dude, our base looks sick. Can we agree?
He protested my banishment as fiercely as I once fought for his return to Konoha. And Kakashi? Akemi prompted. Your teacher? Kakashi. Naruto repeated, the name carrying a weight of complex emotions. He remained an enigma even after years as our sensei. Brilliant, lazy, perpetually late, deeply kind beneath layers of carefully constructed indifference. He carried more guilt than anyone I've ever known, though he hid it well. Every student he took on became a chance for redemption in his eyes. Opportunity to atone for those he couldn't save. Did he find it? Redemption? Naruto considered this. I think he found moments of it. When Team 7 succeeded against impossible odds. When Sasuke finally returned to Konoha. Whether those moments were enough to balance the weight he carried. He shrugged. That's something only Kakashi could answer. Will you seek him out while we're here? Akemi asked, perceptive as always. The question pierced through Naruto's carefully maintained neutrality. Would he? Could he face Kakashi after all these years? What would he find in his former sensei's visible eye? Approval? Disappointment? Indifference? I don't know, he admitted. Some reunions might be harder than others. They talked late into the night, Naruto unspooling memories long tucked away, Akemi absorbing this new dimension of her father's past. As the village below them gradually darkened, windows blinking out one by one, they finally retreated inside to sleep, Naruto on a small couch, insisting Akemi take the bedroom. In the quiet darkness, as his daughters breathing even into sleep in the next room, Naruto closed his eyes and tentatively reached inward, toward the presence that had been his constant companion since birth. Kurama, he called silently. What did you mean earlier? About things not being as they seem? For a long moment, there was no response, and Naruto thought the Nine Tails had retreated into the semi-dormant state that had become increasingly common in recent years. Then, like the rumble of distant thunder, the village has changed more than you realize, kid. The roots run deeper than before. The cryptic statement sent a chill through Naruto. Roots? He questioned. Do you mean? But Kurama had withdrawn again, leaving Naruto with only an unsettling impression of concern from being not easily disturbed. The reference to roots couldn't be coincidental, not when that word carried such specific connotations in Konoha's history. Danzo's secret organization, Root, had officially been disbanded after the war, its shadowy operations exposed and condemned. Had something similar taken its place in his absence? Or was Kurama referring to something else entirely? Sleep eluded Naruto as he turned these questions over in his mind. His shinobi instincts, never fully dormant despite years of peaceful living, alerting him to the possibility of hidden dangers beneath Konoha's welcoming surface. Morning arrived with golden light streaming through unfamiliar windows and the distant sounds of a village coming awake. Naruto rose early, his body still attuned to the rhythms of rural life despite their new urban surroundings. He moved through a series of stretches in basic taijutsu forms, the routine centering him as it had for years. When Akemi emerged from her room, already...
By the way, dude, I made a trophy. I turned the attic into our trophy room.
But a new depth of understanding hung between...
Are you starting a business? Do you need a logo? Design.com offers the world's #1...
Are you on the roof?
...generator and a massive library...
I have to go to the Wii real quick.
Handmade by designers from around the world. Just enter your business name and boom, you'll get thousands of logo ideas in seconds. Whether you're launching a beauty salon, an e-commerce business, or a cafe, Design.com has a logo for you. Once you find a logo you like, Design.com offers an easy-to-use logo editor tool that's free.
Hi, guys.
You can edit the colors, layouts, and fonts of
My
your
big
logo.
baby Diego.
And ready to download. Once you get your logo, Design.com can also help you get a website, business cards, and social media designs. Visit Design.com today and get the perfect logo for your dream business.
Them. Another layer in the unique bond they had forged as father and daughter, teacher and student. Two souls navigating an often hostile world side by side. Sakura will be here soon, Naruto noted, glancing at the clock. Are you ready for the tour? Akemi nodded, her composure firmly in place once more. If she felt any trepidation about further exploration of the village, she showed no sign of it. I'm curious to see the training grounds you told me about, and the academy. Before Naruto could respond, a knock sounded at their door. When he opened it, however, it was not Sakura who stood in the hallway, but Hinata Hyuga, Naruto-kun. She greeted him, her voice stronger than he remembered, but still carrying that distinctive gentleness. I hope I'm not intruding, Hinata, he said, genuine warmth in his tone. No, not at all. Please come in, she stepped inside, her movements graceful and assured, so different from the shy, stammering girl he had known in years. Her dark hair was cut shorter now, framing a face that had aged with remarkable grace. She wore the formal robes of the Hyuga clan leader, the subtle embroidery indicating her status. Sakura sent a message, she explained. She's been called to the hospital for an emergency, and won't be able to give you the tour as planned. She asked if I might take her place, if that's acceptable to you. Of course, Naruto replied without hesitation. Despite the complications of their past, Hinata's once obvious feelings for him, his own obliviousness for so many years, he had always valued her kindness and sincerity. Hinata, this is my daughter, Akemi. Hinata turned to Akemi with a warm smile. It's a pleasure to meet you properly, Akemi-san. Your father was one of the most important people in my life when we were young. The simple honesty of this statement, delivered without awkwardness or hidden meaning, spoke volumes about how Hinata had matured. She acknowledged their history without being defined by it, offering friendship rather than lingering attachment. Thank you for the medicinal cream, Akemi replied, bowing slightly in respect. It was very effective, Hinata smiled deeply. I'm glad. It's a Hyuga family recipe, passed down through generations. I've made some improvements to the formula over the years. As they prepared to leave for their tour, Naruto observed the easy grace with which Hinata moved through the space, her confidence a stark contrast to the hesitant girl he remembered. You've changed, he remarked softly as Akemi went to gather her things. Hinata met his gaze directly, her pale eyes clear and untroubled. We all have, Naruto-kun. 15 years is a lifetime. The council, he said, remembering her presence at yesterday's meeting. You represent the Hyuga now? She nodded. After my father stepped down, I became clan head. It wasn't an easy transition. There were those who doubted my ability to lead, who thought Hanabi would be a better choice despite being younger, but you proved them wrong. Naruto guessed, recognizing the quiet...
The base is done.
Posture. I found my own way, she corrected gently. Not through force or intimidation, but through persistence and compassion. The Hyuga have begun to change under my leadership. Generation by generation, we're dismantling the divisions that have weakened us for centuries. Pride won the
Alright, chat. I'm gonna call it a
The
night.
branch family
Head
distinction
off.
is being phased out.
My stream.
No Hyuga
But
child born in the past 10 years
I
bears
just
the
wanted
word
to
C.
put
Naruto breathes,
something out there that
that's remarkable. Iji would be so proud.
if you ever want to know what I'm actually doing,
I think of him every day. She admitted.
or how to get a hold of me,
Every barrier I dismantle. It's his legacy as much as mine. How can you return?
I have a Discord in my bio for my Discord server. By the way, you must be 17 plus to join, because I do cuss and say a lot of shit.